All right, so this can be the official beginning of the, the panel presentation here. So welcome. We are here today because of a couple of purposes. One is that I really wanted to give an opportunity for people who know about the MAFL but really have not had a chance to talk to MAFL students or get any details on who they are and where they are and what they're doing to find out more. And then also, you can see from the abstract that I also thought it would be really useful for us to have conversations about what's going on in their context, because people have been talking about conducting more collaborative research with teachers who are in the field and those kinds of situations. And so these students offer a really unique perspective on the things that are happening in the field, and they've been thinking about that really deeply in the course of their work in the program. And so what I've asked them to do today is to prepare a 5-minute introduction. So you'll have 5 people who will each do a 5-minute introduction, and I'll show you in a minute what I asked them to tell us about themselves. And then we'll open it up to questions that I'm going to ask them and try to get them talking about those topics, and then there'll be room for you to ask questions. So you can either just raise your hand and ask them here, or anyone, either if you're connecting via Zoom, or if you are connecting here in person, then you'll be able to ask us questions on the Poll Everywhere site. We'll try that and hope that that's going to be helpful to us as well. Okay, so I'm going to tell you just really quickly something about the program. So it was established in 2012. Right now we have about 50 active students. We've accepted more than 100 and have had almost 100 active in the program. We're going to have our 50th graduate this spring. And so it's a fully online program, but it's highly interactive. So there are weekly deadlines. There's a lot of discussion among students. There's a lot of interaction with faculty. And what they usually say about it is that they went into it not knowing how interactive it was going to be, or also how intense it was going to be. And then it has turned out to be something that has influenced their teaching throughout. There are 8 core courses that they're required to take. So you can see methods, assessment, culture, program development, administration. Special topics can be sociolinguistics, reading. There's a couple of things. Language concepts, which is kind of the general linguistics course. The foreign and second language acquisition, that's basically the SLA course. Teaching with technology. Those are the 8 that they're required to take. And then at the end of the program, they all do a 5-credit experiential module project. And then they do a final portfolio. Those portfolios are online, and they are designed to be shared with future employers, with colleagues, to give them a platform for sharing what they've done with their experiential module, those kinds of things. And so there's more information there. So these are just examples of things that they do for their final projects. And I'm telling you this because some of these students are going to talk about what they did for their projects. So probably the most popular are materials and curriculum design, but there are also action research and ethnographic research projects, community outreach. They do language immersion sometimes. Less experienced teachers will do a practicum project. So they are working on reflecting on a particular teaching experience, getting feedback in their own environment, working with the mentor on that. These are all self-designed, very much in conversation with the mentor. Then this is the final portfolio. And so you see some examples. These are screenshots from some existing portfolios, which happen not to be the portfolios of anyone who is on the panel today. Some of them are still working on theirs. But these are things that they include in their portfolios, and generally they're things that come from work they've already done in their courses, and it's designed to showcase what they have accomplished, what they've been working on. And a couple of these people will show you their portfolios. And this is the map of the world showing all of these students that we have we've had in the program. So this is not just where they are now, it also includes where they're from and where they've studied abroad and those things. So you get a sense of languages that are represented and parts of the world that are represented in some way. But without further ado, we're going to look at these particular students who are joining us today. And so we have Bill in Indiana. We have Nili in Ohio, she's just Hebrew. We have Maggie in Michigan, just down the road at Henry Ford Community College. We have Tammy, who is in Texas and teaches Spanish. And I think she'll tell you about the organization for language teachers that she's starting with a faculty member there. And Michele Wellman-Teeple, who is in the Upper Peninsula and teaches Anishinaabemowin, which took me a long time to learn to pronounce. So that was close, right, Michele? Okay. So I've asked them to tell us a little bit about themselves, where they teach, something about how they got into doing this, why they're doing the MAPL, and then how their coursework has enhanced their ability to meet the needs in their teaching content. And then they want to share, at least share something with us from a project or their portfolio, something like that. Who wants to go first? Nili, go first? Okay. All right, so you've got the floor for 5 minutes.
All right, so first of all, hello everyone. I'm very happy to be here and tell you how I see and experience this wonderful program. So my name is Nili and I am a native Israeli. I am currently in Beechwood, Ohio, which is a suburb of Cleveland. I teach Hebrew. I teach at a private Jewish school that is a modern Orthodox school, which has kids all over, really the place from early childhood all the way to high school. This is a community school, so it serves a particular community and the community is very much involved. Although some of the teachers, our general study teachers and some of the Hebrew teachers, myself included, are not part of the community. So there's a very interesting sort of dynamic there. Our students are, I think they're considered heritage learners, more even traditional form, because they can have Hebrew speaking or a native speaker father or mother or grandfather. They can have family relatives in Israel, but also because even if they don't have anybody close to them who really is a native speaker of Hebrew, they know the language from prayers, from davening. It's an essential part of their religious identity. And so Hebrew really is an important part of their life. The ages that I particularly teach, mostly high schoolers. I teach a little bit of junior high students, but we sort of try to mix that a little bit. I don't teach the younger kids. A little bit about my background. I grew up in Israel. Teaching is a second career for me. I used to be a lawyer in Israel, a little bit in the US. I went back to Israel. I taught English in Israel, and when I came back here again, I have been teaching. I switched to teaching Hebrew, and have been doing this ever since. The reason I joined the program is because after a few years of teaching Hebrew, I felt that there were some missing parts in my teaching. I felt I needed more knowledge and I needed more tools. And I needed two different aspects, actually. I needed to sort of zoom out and see a bigger picture of the learning, of the teaching. But I also needed to focus in and know more in details about what it is exactly that I'm doing and how do I get better results in what I'm doing. And I was looking at a program where I can step out of my comfort zone. I didn't want to meet only Hebrew teachers. And indeed, I have met a lot of non-Hebrew teachers. I wanted to be in a different context, meet a lot of languages and cultures. And this is really all over the place in the program, which is so wonderful for me. The way, I think this is the most challenging part for me to answer how the program has helped me, because we really are time limited. I can speak for 2 hours. There is no one single thing that I learned in this program that has not reflected back on how I look at things or how I do things. All over the place, in terms of pedagogy, planning and implementing, in terms of why and how to incorporate technology. I am now the department chair in my school, so I'm taking a course in program development and administration, which gives me so many new perspectives that I didn't consider before. Incorporating culture into my teaching. Excuse me. really everything that I read, everything that I thought of, everything that I handed in has sort of evolved into my teaching in some form. And this is enormous. I think this is huge. One of the greatest things that I find in the program, which surprised me, because again, this is a fully online program, is the amount of interaction and feedback that I've been getting from faculty and peers. And I think this is really has been very beneficial for me. Personally, I found it very useful, and I feel it helped me grow as a teacher. I wanted to share one particular project or tool that I received in this program, and this is within the assessment course. When I took on myself to be a program coordinator or department chair, whatever we refer this to as, the first thing we wanted to do was really to evaluate our students at different points in time and to see how they're doing, and in turn how we as teachers are doing. And I looked around and tried to search for tools how to do that, but really the learning in the assessment course was the place where I felt I really got all the tools that I needed. So starting with planning and thinking about goals and thinking about stakeholders, going through how to actually build different kinds of assessments and then how to implement them, and then how to treat it when we are done with that. And through all that cycle, this has been really an enormous practical tool for me. And the way I felt this is overwhelmingly helpful is we actually implemented that tool first time in the beginning of this year, this semester. And I had some issues, I had some challenges with some students and with parents and even with an administrator. And the level of confidence that I felt standing behind what I did, because there's a rationale and there is no one single thing that I cannot explain, was really what I felt helped me went through with this and collect the data that I want and feel that we are becoming more professional.
That's wonderful, yeah. So do you want to wrap up, Nili? Is there anything else you wanted to say?
I think that this is pretty much it. I hope to see more and more teachers of all languages in the program, and it's been a pleasure so far.
Thank you. Thank you. And Erin Orogi is in the meeting as well. So Erin's the instructor of that assessment course that she was talking about. Great. Anybody have a quick question for Nili? You want to hold questions? Okay. As we're looking at the meeting, the next person I see is Tammy. So Tammy, do you want to jump in next?
Hi, I'm Tammy Schmidt, and I'm from Texas. I'm from the Panhandle, which is the little square right at the top of Texas. I teach, or I did teach, Spanish and ESL for 13 years in a small rural high school. And I was also the ESL coordinator and the migrant coordinator. So I had a lot of interaction with heritage speakers and native speakers and my parents of those kiddos. And I stayed there for 13 years, even though I had a large high school just 5 minutes down the street from me, because that school allowed me to have a lot of freedom. The administration gave me freedom to try different programs, to innovate in my classroom. Because really, from the minute I started teaching, I realized that the way I learned languages wasn't going to be the best for my students in that context. And so I started searching for better ways to teach, and everything I tried just seemed to lead me back to grammar teaching out of the textbook. And then finally, I found communicative language teaching, and I attended a conference, and I really never looked back from there. And right after I attended that conference, I attended a professional development here at our local university, and the professor challenged us to challenge the teachers to really find, to define what communication meant, and to study up on current second language acquisition research so that we could tailor our practice around what the research was saying at the time. And I really took that to heart. I checked out the resources that he gave us, and I was so fascinated that I started looking for a program. And I was looking for the MAFLT program. I didn't realize it when I started looking, but I searched basically all over the world, and then by chance found the MAFLT program, and it was exactly what I needed. In this area, there aren't a lot of teachers that use communicative language teaching. Everything's basically built around a grammar syllabus, and we don't have very much professional development in the area. And so I really started going down that path, and I felt like I was all alone. And then when I found the MAFLT program, I had colleagues and I had instructors that were there to support me, and I've learned so much from all of them on this journey. And so at the end of last school year, I decided that I could better help promote language teaching and bilingualism in this area if I quit my job. And so I quit my job, and just this last January, just last month, that local professor that encouraged us to really study up on second language acquisition research asked me if I would help him start a language teachers association so that we could help provide professional development and support for language teachers that focuses on communicative language teaching and also promoting bilingualism and intercultural competence in our area. And so we had our first meeting last Thursday, and it was a big success. The teachers received everything really well. They were excited. Teachers in this area are hungry to learn how to teach towards proficiency and acquisition, and they really just feel like they don't have the tools. They don't have the professional development. They don't have the support, and really language teachers in this area aren't connected. And so we're trying to provide a space where teachers can connect and share resources and also get the training that they need. And I really feel like, oh, I'm sorry.
1 minute.
Okay. And I really feel like the MAFLT program has really prepared me to be a mentor to local teachers.
So
is
there one project or one task or one thing that would ask of you in particular that you want to share?
Yes, I would say the classroom language analysis that we did in our sociolinguistics class with Dr. Lanier was a project where we had to take a video, a snippet, about 2 minutes of classroom discourse, and we transcribed it, and then we analyzed it to look and see what was actually going on in the classroom as far as language, as far as communication was concerned. Maybe the teacher intended for one thing to happen, but as we studied the discourse, sometimes that wasn't exactly what was going on. And so it was just really interesting to research more from a sociolinguist point of view and dig in a little deeper to what goes on in a classroom and some of the things that we need to look at as we're teaching to determine whether our goals are actually being met or not.
Maggie, how about you go next? Yeah. Thank you, Tammy.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. My name is Maggie Rutkowski, and I teach at Henry Ford College in Dearborn. It's a community college. So that means that I have students from 16 to 65. Every single class is different, which I like, but it makes the beginning of the semester a little crazy. I've never had the same class twice. I've never taught the same class the same way. Our student population is pretty diverse. About a third of our students are of Middle Eastern descent, a third are African American, and a third are Caucasian, which includes our heritage language Spanish population. So it's been a pretty interesting experience. And I think that's all about Henry Ford. I was interested in the MAFLT program because my background is in language only, and I really had no education background besides just doing my teaching assistantship in grad school. I actually didn't want to be a teacher, so when it kind of became clear that this was like the path that my life was going on, I decided I needed to go back to school and kind of catch up with my colleagues because they were like throwing around terminology that I didn't really understand. And the MAFLT program has been super, super helpful for me because I am the only full-time Spanish faculty member at Henry Ford, and I chair the World Languages Committee. So I'm in charge of a lot of professional development activities that we put on for our adjunct faculty. Currently, we have like 8 or 9 Spanish teachers that adjunct for us in any given semester. So it gets kind of complicated when there's only one person that's like there 40 hours a week. So that's been really, really helpful. And
can I stop Maggie for a second and tell you guys that she gave birth a week ago. And agreed to
if you're a crying baby, it's fine. My mom is here. I'm not like ignoring.
I'm not ignoring the baby. But yeah, so this is another example of how we definitely find out about what's going on in the real world with these students. They're whole people. So Maggie, tell them about your project that you were doing last summer.
Yeah, so last summer I did a 3-credit experiential module, which Dr. Lanier gave a little bit of a background about. And for my project, I was looking into something to do with authentic literature. Because I noticed that my upper level students, I'm the only teacher that teaches Spanish 2, 3, and 4, which are the top 3 classes that we offer. I noticed that they weren't getting a lot of exposure to authentic literature. And I wanted to design a project something that I could integrate in every single one of those classes without a lot of extra work on my part. And so with a lot of help from Dr. Lanier, we decided to work with Corpus tools, which are like online text analysis tools. And we worked with Reverso, El Corpus del Español, and Voyant tools to come up with kind of like almost a project-based analysis of short fiction. I picked short stories because I thought that while being authentic, they're also easy to digest for students and manageable. My classes meet twice a week. So I don't see my students that often, which is very challenging for language development, but reading is something that is a good task that they can do outside of the classroom. So that can kind of maximize their exposure to the language. And I have it open if you want me to share my screen, Dr. Lanier, I don't know.
Yeah, I'll talk for just a second when you put up. They're called Corpus Quest, and what we did was trying to balance training them to do these things on their own, and then also Maggie creating materials that she would use to teach them about language, so they can investigate language and learn from her about language. But it's all tied very closely to what's actually going on in those short stories.
Mm-hmm.
But it's meant to be learner training as well as language teaching.
Yeah.
So you know what? Let's come back to it because we're getting a little tight on time, and so let's come back and we can see if they want to see the details in the Q&A.
No problem.
Terrific.
Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you, Maggie.
You're welcome.
Okay, and so Michele, you're next. Do you want to go next? Hi, Michele.
Hi. Hi, everybody. So my name is Michele Wellman-Teeple, and I teach Anishinaabemowin. We're located up here in Bay Mills Indian Community. It's an Ojibwe community in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. We're right on the shore of Lake Superior, so we can see Canada outside the college windows here. Well, you can't see the lake right now because there's a storm going on, but normally you can. I'm currently teaching adults here at the community college. So the Ojibwe language, Anishinaabe language is an endangered language, and a lot of our students range in age from their 20s all the way up into their 70s. The older students tend to want to be reclaiming the language. They might have been exposed to it or heard it or maybe even used it a little bit when they were younger, but we're surrounded by English here, so there have been efforts here by Bay Mills Community College to teach learners and teach us how to teach. So that's what happened with me. All my life, I always wanted to learn the language, but there were never opportunities until I was living up here in Sault Ste. Marie. And Bay Mills Community College started a program called the Anishinaabemowin Language Instructors Institute. And I really didn't want to teach. I just wanted to learn the language, and that was the only opportunity I thought I would have. So shortly after I got into the instructors program, I did get the opportunity to teach and discovered it was, you know, sort of felt like it was maybe my calling. I really enjoyed teaching. So I worked hard to get over the stage fright issues and started teaching at the high school level. And then I went down to lower elementary for 8.5 years. And now I've been out here at the college. I'm in my 8th year here. And we started this immersion program, which I was a student in also at the MCC about 15 years ago. So the college, it started as an experiment to try and revitalize the language in a different way. Some of the conventional language programs where you're teaching reading and writing and grammar don't work for Anishinaabemowin because we don't have a body of literature to use as learners. So we really use the language mainly orally in ceremony and social situations. So they developed an immersion program that follows along those same lines. And then as I was teaching over in the charter school in Sault Ste. Marie, I don't have a teacher certificate through the state of Michigan. My bachelor's degree is not related to language or education. So I was looking for a program that would help me to increase or improve my teaching techniques and tools, sort of add to my toolbox with different methods and techniques for teaching. So that's how I started looking for the MAFLT program. I was originally going to just go for a second bachelor's degree in teacher education, but there was no degree offered for Anishinaabe language teaching or Anishinaabe language. There's no such bachelor's degree or no such teaching degree. The MAFLT program I felt would be something good for me to have. Also, the school system wants the teachers to have credentials, you know, that show we're highly qualified. And as there have been different legal things that have happened, I'm not sure when the first one happened, maybe 1992, the Native American Languages Act. So then we were able to start offering Anishinaabe language in the local school districts or in school districts where there was a high population of Native people.
Mm-hmm. Michele, I would love for you to tell them about your medicine wheel course. So could you take one more minute and tell them about your course that you designed this summer?
So for my 3-credit experiential module, finished when I was wrapping up in the MAFLT program, I created a medicine wheel course with some help from Amanda with developing the lesson plans and things, because our immersion program does not have a big structured thing. So I, as a learner and a teacher, I feel much better if I can prepare and have materials to share with our students, and the students appreciate that too. So I developed just a short, it was supposed to be a community-based course. We did have community members that came and attended the class in the summertime, and now I've also used the lessons that I developed through that course. And again, since our language is mainly oral communication is mainly how we use it, most of the lessons don't have reading, writing, and grammar as part of it. I give them handouts after we go through the lessons, but mostly I use comprehensible input in the form of interactive activities and pictures, you know, props and objects and gestures, and we act things out and play games with small little groups of vocabulary. So the lessons are based around our medicine wheel, which is a cultural symbol that if you've ever been around Native people, you might have seen the medicine wheel symbol, and I can share it later if there's questions about it. But that medicine wheel sort of encompasses the worldview of Native people, and our language is intrinsically connected to our culture too. So there's not always exact equivalence in English, because some of our words, it's like there's a whole story to just one word.
Mm-hmm.
As a more spiritual connection, or a connection to our environment as Anishinaabe people. So I don't know, what else would you, is there something else I'm forgetting, Amanda, that I need to?
I wish that each one of you could talk for 20, 30, 40 an hour. We could go on, but you guys, you're seeing why I wanted so badly for them to share what they're working on. And also you'll see with Bill as well. I mean, his EM is built around teaching other teachers. So how quickly they come in, and the same people who are, I think, drawn to doing the graduate program in the MAFL are the same people who very much want to give back almost immediately, want to be taking what they know and sharing it with other teachers and creating materials that can be used by other teachers. And so Bill will talk about what he's doing with that as well in his EM. So Michele, thank you.
Thank you.
So Bill, you want to go?
Hi, I'm Bill Langley. I'm in Richmond, Indiana, and I am in my last semester of the MAFLT program. And actually, Amanda gave me a great segue, because the first thing that I was going to say was that one of the reasons that I wanted to do the MAFLT, or at least something that has developed from me being in the MAFLT program, is having tools to share with other teachers. So since my undergraduate degree was in Spanish education, so the degree's a little, everything that I did in undergrad, we're just like doing like tenfold in the MAFLT program. And so I felt very prepared, but I just had a really strong connection with my undergraduate methods professor, and she really instilled in me some ideas on how to share knowledge with other teachers. And I decided to do the MAFLT program, one, just to make myself better. I want to be the best that I can be for my students, but also it's giving me tools that I can go forth and share what I'm doing and help other teachers move into maybe more communicative language teaching methods, or I specialize in TPRS and comprehensible input, but also how to like bring that into how to supplement any kind of teaching with extra listening or reading techniques. And the things that I've done in the MAFLT program, there are some presentations that I've actually already been able to share with my personal learning community based in Indianapolis. We meet every month. So doing the MAFLT program has given me things that I can just take to them and start small and continue to train teachers, because like a teacher at heart just wants to keep teaching. So not only do I get to teach my students, but I get to share my love of teaching students with other teachers. So the EM that I'm working on currently, the experiential module that I'm currently working on, I started it last summer as a conference attendance experiential module, and then it kind of just started developing into something else.
I was just going to clarify, because several of you have done your EMs in 2 parts, and so it's a 5-credit capstone, but some people do 2 credits of one thing and 3 credits of another. So that's what he's talking about, is they're connected, but it's a 2 + 3. Anyway, so you went to the TPRS Comprehensible Input Conference last summer, and so your EM was built around that conference?
Yes. So it started out because I knew that I was going to the conference. I knew that there was an experiential module that I could do with attending a conference. But as I started explaining to Amanda what all I was going to be doing at the conference, that I was going to be a demonstration teacher, as well as leading talks and going to different sessions, then she told me, it's like, oh, well, you're going to be way more involved. So here are some ideas on where we can go.
To expand that into the full 5 credit projects. Yeah.
So then this semester, I'm taking some of the things that I learned from that conference and turning them into training modules for teachers that we can share out. So I can get to continue sharing my love of sharing with teachers.
That's wonderful. Yeah. So guys, that's 5 of them. These are 5 amazing students. There are many, many others who could have presented. We have a couple who are sitting in. We just want to take a minute. Xiaozhang and Luciana, do you want to say who you are and where you are really quickly? So Xiaozhang was in North Carolina, and right now he's in China. He's actually faculty at a university in China. And so his PhD is in Chinese, it's in comparative literature. And then he decided to do the MAFL in addition to that, so that he would have the balance of language teaching skills to go with this deep knowledge of literature.
Well, actually, that's almost 3 a.m.
Oh no!
Here, yeah. So, and that is the Spring Festival holiday. So,
Okay.
so I already have the habit of like staying up pretty late. So I might as well just finish my some course homework and just wait for the conference too. So just gotta say good afternoon, everyone. And well, because I don't know actually what I'm supposed to say.
Yeah. Wanted you to pop in and say hi. You haven't done the full preparation. I wasn't sure if you would be available since it's the middle of the night for you. So, so if you want to answer a question later, then feel free. But let's go ahead and just say hi to Luciana really quickly since she's here. Luciana?
Hi, everyone. I'm in North Carolina, and I am also a senior in the MAFL program. And that's all.
I just spent most of the day working on Luciana's experiential module. So she is working on doing a needs analysis so that she can help soldiers who are learning Portuguese for military purposes. And so we're working on getting her permission to access the information that she needs to do that.
There are a lot of hoops to hop through, but Dr. Lanier is actually helping a lot.
We're trying.
I was not expecting that letter, but thank you.
Okay, we'll see how it goes. But it's not research, it's needs analysis, which uses a lot of the methods of research. But the thing is, I say this a lot about the program, is it's not designed to be a program that prepares researchers. It's designed to be a program that prepares master teachers. And in that process, you should be good at collecting information, collecting data that you can use to inform your teaching.
And like you said, I wasn't expecting to develop into something that now they want to use, possibly, and so let's see how it goes.
So you see how these things emerge. Like it happens all the time, that there's hunger for this, for people who are doing what they're doing well and innovatively. Sarah can say hi. Sarah, you want to say hi? This is one of our alumni.
Sure.
So Sarah's in Michigan.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sarah, and yep, I'm in Michigan. I graduated in December of 2017, and since then I actually had the opportunity to adjunct instruct at Western for a French 100 class, and then I accepted a new position teaching middle school French in Portage Public Schools. So very thankful to everything the MAFL program did for me, and to Amanda.
And Dustin and Aaron.
And Dustin. Here. Yes, and Aaron and everyone, all of my wonderful.
Yeah, I did put the panel together, so. No, okay, all right, guys. So we have 15 minutes to go. And so what I was thinking, guys, is that we would go on, I'm gonna share this PowerPoint again. So these are the questions that I gave them to prepare. So what's a prominent need that you're seeing in your own context, you're seeing among teachers around you? We've heard some of that from them so far. We're also seeing how they're trying to meet those needs already. Most of them aren't even graduated yet, and they're trying to meet those needs. And then a positive trend. So lots of teachers are coming in now asking about comprehensible input, asking about TPRS, but that's not the answer to everything. It's something that they're curious about, but we do try to be more agnostic in terms of methods and across languages. So those are questions I gave to them. We can discuss those questions, or if you want to ask questions, there is the poll where you can just write in a question that you want to ask, and I'm keeping an eye on it on my phone so that I will see it if you ask a question that way, and that's true for anybody. You can ask each other questions if you want to, guys. But what we'll do is I will ask now if anybody in the audience has a question that they'd like to ask, and then we'll see where we go from there. So Dustin or Aaron, do you have something that you would like to hear these guys talk about? Because I feel like I've kind of biased what they brought up, but
no, not specifically. Anything you want to add is great, and if anybody has a question for me or whatever, you can throw that out too. I'm happy to chat, but also I didn't prepare anything for this.
Okay.
So,
I was thinking of something that you've noticed is either challenging about working with these students. Like, I feel like they challenge me all the time. I'm learning from them.
Oh yeah.
Being challenged. I'm right out the edge of what I feel confident telling them to do. Well, because we're stretching, and particularly when you go into an experiential module, and then at that point, it's not a course I've designed and taught 5 times. It's something that has to be responsive to what an individual teacher needs. And so those are just as challenging for me in some ways as they are for the students. But
yeah,
as you see the work they're creating, they can share. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's kind of that individual needs thing. Because the student population is so diverse, you really have to get to know each person on a very sort of individual level, find out what they already know and what they're trying to get out of the program, what they're trying to get out of the course, and try to tailor what we're doing to that as best as we can, leaving a lot of room for flexibility in different cases, especially because in most cases I don't get to meet people in the program in person at all, or sometimes if you come to East Lansing for graduation, hint hint, we love to see you. And so it's a little bit harder to really get a sense of people's background, what they already know, and what they want to get out of it, than I think would be the case in a face-to-face class, for example.
Mm-hmm. And it's a little easier to go back and forth, but I also think that when your discussions are in writing in the discussion threads, if you have time to think about what you're saying and time to think about what you're going to say to others, what others are saying, to respond to that in depth, so that can be nice. Actually, there's a lot of benefits in some ways.
Yeah, the discussions are great. They're definitely a wonderful part of these courses.
Yeah. So, do you guys? Okay, so yeah, Austin. All right, so Austin's going to ask a question.
So my name is Austin Kaufman, and I don't work with the math program directly, but I'm here at Michigan State University working with the English Language Center. And one of the things that I've noticed and am, I guess, trying to help remedy is that I feel that there's a lot of isolation between, as you said, various languages and types of programs. English language teachers go to their TESOL conferences, other languages go to ACFL, other foreign language programs. And I don't think there's necessarily enough collaboration and work with professional development. And so I guess my question to you is, you are already doing some of these things, which is exciting. But what other kind of collaboration would be useful for people in your position, and how can we make those connections happen?
You mean more opportunities for them to learn, or more opportunities for them to actually have projects going together with someone at the university, or?
Yes.
Okay. so okay.
But possibly sharing as well, sharing what you've learned with other teachers and
so I mean, the MAPL's only one way that we can train teachers, and it's a high commitment way to train teachers, and also there's only so much that we can do. So particularly connecting to you in your local context, what are some things that you wish we could do, or you wish could happen for teachers around you, things that you're trying to get to happen? So Tammy talked about some of this. So anyone, go ahead and jump in. What are some things you'd like to see happen to promote language teaching around you? Maggie?
Okay. Can everybody hear me okay?
Mm-hmm.
I've found that we have a really big ESL program at Henry Ford. It actually is bigger than our world language program. And I found that a lot of our ESL teachers are actually, they're actually more at the cutting edge. I think Tammy talked a lot about the grammar approach to learning a so-called foreign language. And I've noticed that our ESL teachers are much more into promoting proficiency and not just memorizing stuff. So I think that actually we as foreign language teachers can learn a lot from our ESL teachers. And I think that at my school, I'd love to come up with a whole like language learning type of committee. We're in separate departments now, and I don't think that that's very helpful. And I also think that we do maybe a cultural approach a little bit better than our ESL counterparts. So I think that if we could do some interchanges there, or like, I don't know, intercambios is the only word I can think of, that we can learn from each other, I think that that could be helpful too. But I think that we can promote that on an individual level, and maybe like at a program level, we can arrange some types of like, yeah, interactions between ESL faculty and MAFL students.
Mm-hmm. And yet not let it happen that the English teaching ends up kind of overwhelming, you know, because sometimes there's larger numbers and the contexts are very, very different. And so sometimes it can seem a little overwhelming, there's pushing one way. And
right.
Foreign language teachers do really need different areas of emphasis. I mean, that's been a huge learning curve for me, to say what the foreign language teachers need to hear that English teachers in the US don't need to hear, that ESL or EFL teachers don't need to hear. And culture and intercultural competence, that's one of them. Finding the materials, how to increase the exposure, making sure there's good quality exposure to, as you're saying, comprehensible input. Okay, so what else? So that's one idea, to get better connections among language teachers of different languages.
Can I go ahead?
Nili?
I think that sharing platforms would be something that would be extremely useful. And I know that some schools, not necessarily in their language teaching, they do that very well. Anything that we build, that we put together, would probably be helpful to someone somewhere. And it's so easy these days to find, you know, online somewhere that we can share it in a very in a systematic way that would be easier to find. I have in mind a school in San Diego that is PBL oriented, and basically they put online a huge database of all their PBLs, with their, you know, with the documents that go with it, with some, you know, photography of what happened. Unfortunately, they don't do much in terms of language teaching, but it would be great if you know, there would be something, not necessarily for project based, but really for any type of curriculum or something smaller even than that you put together that could be shared between us teachers. I would love to have something like that going.
Do you guys have ideas about what kind of platforms would work for that? I mean, so Bill, I know that you've been really involved with Twitter feeds, and Twitter, for example, being one way that can happen, but what are some other online ways beyond? I mean, we can do this within our learning management system, or we can have a website, but what are some other ways that you think would work for you?
So I think Twitter is one of my favorite things, because it's so many teachers use Twitter, and even if you're just a passive user, there's still so much that you can pick up from it. For us specifically, there's LangChat, which has a bunch of stuff on there. There's EdChat, that's general education that you could probably partake in, ask questions there to get from across content areas, to share ideas or to get ideas from there. I actually have to go in just a minute because our bell schedule is weird. And so 1:57 is my time up. But what I wanted to share about this idea right now is that I think there are things that we can, as world language teachers, that we can work with the ESL teachers or ELL teachers. I know right now I'm working with the ELL teacher here to make a presentation for other teachers to support our ELL students. So I'm bringing in knowledge on making things comprehensible. She's bringing in things about like teaching content in another language. So I think that is probably a strength that students from the MAFLT program could bring to a school-wide setting, is using our knowledge of teaching language to help content teachers bridge the gaps to our English learner students.
So, I mean, yeah, definitely connections across the curriculum here. Which
Thank you.
Bill, thank you so much. All right, take care.
Bye.
So guys, you know what I would love to do if we can just turn around really quickly and have the people in the audience tell you who they are, because you guys don't necessarily know. So Felix, you want to stand up and say hi?
Sure. But if I stand up, can you see?
He can see you, but
Okay.
we need you to move actually closer. The camera's here, so if you'll come in a little closer, they can see you. Hi. That's great. The closer you are, the better the light is, actually.
Hi, I'm
Yeah.
Felix Cronenberg. I started at Michigan State this past August, and I'm the director of CeLTA, and the MAFLT program is part of CeLTA, and I'm super excited to hear all your stories and your successes, and especially the diversity of everyone's background. I met a few MAFLT students at some of the conferences, and so I hope we can connect in the future, and this is really exciting. So do stay in touch. So thank you.
Felix is in a really good position to advocate for us. Like most of the things that are going to be profitable for us at the university go through him. So we need to. All right, Stephanie, can you step up just a second and say hi? This is our librarian, Stephanie.
Can I scoot in my chair?
Yeah, you can scoot. You can scoot. So, Steph, have you talked to Stephanie before? Who's talked to Stephanie before? Yeah.
Michele,
Yeah,
everybody.
She's such an expert.
I can't tell you how wonderful it is to see you and hear you. And, you know, it's been probably one of the best learning experiences for me as a librarian, from my point of view, to work with you, even with that back and forth email exchange. And I've learned so much from Dustin, Amanda, Aaron, everybody in the program too. I think this is just fabulous.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So Austin Kaufman.
I already had a question earlier. I'm Austin Kaufman. I work here at the English Language Center at Michigan State University. And I'm doing some professional development activities and workshops. In fact, there's one coming up next Saturday, which I don't know if Amanda's told you about, but if she hasn't, I'll just plug it and I'll send information to you through her. And we're looking for people to attend and even maybe participate. So
you can do a virtual presentation. It can even be recorded, like a 7-8 minute recording that we'll put on a loop and you can present for them. So, Koen van Gorp.
Hi, I'm Koen van Gorp. I came to MSU 3 years ago from Belgium, so my native language is Dutch. I'm here responsible for foreign language assessment, and I teach in the second language studies program, mostly on task-based language teaching and assessment. And so it's great sharing all your stories. It was wonderful. And especially Michele, I was really interested in your story. We're trying to get a new grant working with indigenous languages. And Anishinaabemowin, and I'm not pronouncing it right yet. It's one of the languages that we're focusing on. So next to some other linguals. We're working with Hebrew as well. So great hearing you also.
Yeah, wonderful. And so, so also part of CeLTA. And then Mia, do you want to wave? This is one of our graduate assistants. So she helps us organize these professional development sessions. Mia is in the Masters in TESOL. You know, that's kind of like the on-campus TESOL Masters program that's sort of comparable to this foreign language teaching program that's at a distance. So we are at 2 o'clock, guys. So I'm going to just actually turn around so I can say hello to you, not mute, change the camera so I can say hello. Hi. It's so good to see you all. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this. And so, you know, it's just such a delight, and I am so glad that it's not just me walking around bragging about all of you, but that but that you got to talk about what you're working on and what you're excited about and what you see as challenges and how you've grown. And I hope that you'll continue to tell your stories so that we can share them with others. And I'm so proud that you are all turning around and trying to improve language teaching in your own communities so quickly and with such dedication. So thanks again for agreeing to be here. And we'll go ahead and say hello to all the people who are going to watch the recording. So I hope that your classmates will do that. And again, thanks for being here. And to the audience, thank you for coming today. And everyone, they can see you. So yeah, bye-bye. Have a wonderful day or week. Take care. Bye-bye, guys.
Bye.